And that is the end of the test match. We thought at some point a collapse may come, which may speed things up, and it happened in the morning of day 4. There was optimism and hope at the end of day 3. Pujara and Kohli, could they have translated that sort of effort and fight into day 4 and, at least made us dream of the miraculous? But England have been ruthless in the first session. They've taken 15 minutes short of the 2 hours of that first session to dismiss India for 278. They lost 8 for 63, did the Indian batters in that session, and England have won this test match by an innings and 76 runs. It sets up this series so very wonderfully. 1-1 now with 2 to play. On ESPN Cricket for Matchday, we will wrap up this game with Ian Bell and Maninder Singh. Let's go to Ian Bell first up. Some of us may have thought that perhaps India, after the fight on day 3, could pose some sort of incredible fight back. But this was supposed to be England's test match, and boy, they were ruthless this morning, Belly.
They were, and it felt as the game went on, it was a very much a new ball pitch. So the new ball due in the morning was just the right time for England. They had to work hard. India played really well. And I think the Anderson and Robinson partnership at the moment with an injured Stuart Broad looks fantastic, doesn't it? They really complemented each other really well. Asked some really big questions with that new ball to the Indian batsman, and probably got the rewards for the hard work yesterday. And that's Test cricket. You have to keep going day after day, hoping that those rewards will come in that crazy hour time, and they got that today. So well done to England, and like I said, this series now is set up amazingly well.
That cliche that we have at the end of each day, Money, and you and Steve Armisen said that last evening. Oh, the first hour this morning, the first half an hour this morning, crucial, and it went as badly as it possibly could have gone for India. What happened there? Was England just too good, or were India guilty of poor shots? What happened in the first hour?
I thought the Indian batsmen were a little bit too tentative. Probably they also had this in their mind that we just got to see the new ball off, play the first hour off, and I think they were a little tentative there, because of which they lost their wickets. Because if you see Rahane, the way he got out, he was tentative. If you see Cheteshwar Pujara, he was a little tentative as well. So that goes to show that when they must have had the team meeting yesterday, they must have thought that they must have talked about this, that let's get this first hour over and done with, and then probably when the ball gets older, we can sort them out like we did yesterday, and probably go on to play the whole day. But I would give a lot of credit to the English bowlers, the way they bowled. I mean, initially early in the morning there is some moisture there, and they took full advantage of it. I think they made it count. They made the new ball count, and I think a lot of credit goes to them. And another thing that I've been thinking is, this will give Joe Root and the English boys a lot of confidence that Jimmy Anderson didn't get many wickets, but it was only Robinson and Overton who got wickets. So this should give them a lot of confidence going into the next test match.
Yeah, excellent point. Ollie Robinson with 16 wickets now is the leading wicket taker in this series. It's worth remembering he's only playing his 4th test match. It's not like he's been around a long time. And well, you made the point. There's no Jofra Archer. There's no Chris Woakes. Stuart Broad out after the first test in this series. Ollie Robinson looks like he's going to play in this England team even when those guys come back.
Definitely on this performance, and that's what you've got to do, isn't it? You've got to, again, international cricket, when you get your opportunity, you want to grab it with both hands, and he's done that extremely well, and it's going to be very hard to leave out, isn't it? Even with a fully fit Stuart Broad or Chris Woakes, who's just started playing a little bit of domestic cricket now as well. So I think the bowling stocks look, they look deep. I mean, again, Jimmy Anderson, again, yes, he was wicketless, but I mean, he is the leader, he's the mastermind that started on day one, and leads his attack incredibly well. So when he does finish at some point in 10 years' time, there'll be a big hole to fill. But in terms of English seamers in these conditions, there's plenty, and that's what we're good at. Again, the trick then, as we know, international cricket is, for someone like Robinson now, is can you take that to Australia? Can you take that to India, around the world, and dominate like Jimmy Anderson has done? But so far, he's been absolutely incredible, and just what England needed.
As a batter, Billy, what are the sort of questions that Robinson asks of you? He's got Kohli now, I think, for the 2nd time this series. He's got Pant 3 times this series. He's got this ability to pick up key wickets. Well, all the focus has been on James Anderson. Robinson's just chipped away and gone at the top of the wicket-taking pile for this series. How does he trouble a batter? Belly? Yeah. Belly as a batter, perhaps. I'll get Money as well. Yeah.
He's a tall guy with extremes. Any bounce in the pitch, he will get out. Certainly in these conditions, he does move the ball, and what he does for me is he challenges the stumps. Again, when you play him in county cricket, domestic cricket, gone are the days where you get a lot of outswing bowlers. It's ball nipping back looking for LBW ball and then that fine, nick to the keeper and first slip. And he does that extremely well and just gets enough out of the pitch. He's not extreme pace, but again, his height, very much, I think it's a big call, but Glenn McGrath style bowler. Again, that kind of tight lines becomes quite hard to leave when he can, like I said, bring the ball back in, but also take it away. So a skillful seamer that, again, just hits the splice of the bat. Not great pace, but accurate and uses his height to the full advantage.
Yeah, and it seems like, Mani, now this is a problem that through 3 tests, India's batters seem to be carrying. You just keep probing that line outside off stump, and invariably everyone's just going to nick it at some point.
When the ball is new, it's very difficult, because the Indian batters are not basically used to batting in conditions like that, and especially when the ball is moving away from them, it does become a headache for them. And we've seen that so far in this series. I mean, even though India dominated the first 2 test matches most times than England did, but still, there were weaknesses outside the off stump. I think all the batsmen in the world, when the ball is seaming around, are a little weak outside the off stump. But these English bowlers have been bowling a very good length. The line is good, the length is very good. And, you're talking about Oli Robinson. I think it's the height, like Belly said. He gets a lot of advantage because he's 6'6", 6'7", and the ball is coming from over 7 feet. So the batsman, when he's looking at his hand, sometimes you miss the trick. And that is where he gets the advantage. And his line is very good, just on the off stump, outside the off stump. And from there, he keeps moving the ball away or bringing it in. And that is an advantage for anybody that tall.
We thought at some point early in that session, man, even after Pujara went, that so much rested on Virat Kohli. All he needs is a little bit of luck. And maybe this was Kohli's day. He went past 50 for the first time in this series. He got a reprieve with the DRS with the help of Ajinkya Rahane. He was playing in missing more. He thought, okay, great. Kohli's got the little bit of luck he needs. Hit a few boundaries. You thought, yeah, Kohli's in business. Then gets out. Where do you think Virat Kohli is right now? Because he looks good. Didn't have that big innings.
See, you are never in these conditions. Rohit Sharma in his press conference said this morning as well that you're never in English conditions because the ball is seaming around, they swing around, even though it was bright and sunny today, but the ball will still move. So you're never in, and that's exactly what's happened with Virat Kohli, because Virat Kohli, after getting that 45 yesterday, everybody would have thought that he would have got his confidence back, but no, it doesn't happen that way. And when he got lucky, like you were talking about, and with the DRS as well, because he was walking, and it was Ajinkya Rahane who called him back that said, "Skipper, just take a DRS. I don't think you've nicked it." And I was very surprised because batsmen generally know whether they've nicked it or not, but Virat Kohli had his doubts there. So I thought luck is going for him. This is going to be a big one from Virat Kohli, but then he got a very good delivery. And, we've been talking about this. In these conditions, this is going to come to you. You've got to be a little lucky as well. But Virat Kohli on that occasion wasn't.
Yeah, it just seems like, it's not like I'm going to defend Kohli and not the others, Belly, but it seems like he always gets a good one. England have been meticulous when they just bowl to Kohli. His run making seems a bit harder than the others.
Yeah, it's been a good contest. Again, like we said, I think as well, he likes to, really put his stamp on the game, doesn't he? He likes to get at the ball. And I think, in these, especially at Headingley, you've got to let that ball come. You've got to play it late. You've got to leave well. But again, and we said it right from day one, it's the kind of pitch, again, you feel like you're in. So many times I've got 20 and 30 at Headingley, and you think you're in, and then suddenly that ball, just something happens. So I feel like that's, but I think from an India point of view, it's a good sign. He looked good. And I think from that point of view for the series, you've got the Oval. For me, it's the best wicket in the country. It's a flat pitch. And then you've got Old Trafford that does turn. So I think this situation right now, certainly for the batters, is going to be good. I think the 2 tricky pitches, actually, with the 3 tricky pitches in English conditions, we've gone past now. Now we're going into the 2 better pitches, I think, for run scoring. So really fascinating how it's gone. But a good sign that he looked again, as he always does, he looked in good form.
And that takes us to a few more individuals now. Whether India are going to have a think about teams going into it, maybe they won't. But Ajinkya Rahane with scores of 10 and 18 in this test, Mani, it seems like similar ways of getting out. Pujara has played a mighty significant innings for him personally. You think, even though India have lost this, Rahane has missed out on that. What do you make of Ajinkya Rahane from what you're seeing the way he's batting in this series?
See, they should have taken a leaf out of Pujara's book, actually, and he should have taken a leaf out of his own book, because the way he played yesterday, he was pretty positive. But again, he gone. When he came in this morning, he was tentative, probably thinking that let's play the first hour off. And when Pujara is in doubt, he looks vulnerable. And the same thing goes for Ajinkya Rahane as well. He's been very tentative, and I really don't know why, because his average abroad is much higher than his average on the Indian pitches, and he's always got runs. So I really don't know what's gone wrong where. But I don't see him being dropped or anything. I don't see any change as far as the batting lineup is concerned. The only place that I can see a change in the Indian side is probably Ishant Sharma might go out and they might get a spinner in, or maybe Shardul Thakur. That's the only change I can see India going into the next test match. But Rahane is going to stay. I think somebody needs to keep talking to him, because at international level, sometimes the coaches do think that you're playing international cricket, you should know your job. But I think Ravi Shastri's job should be that if somebody is being so tentative, not very sure about his footwork, he's got to put in a little bit more effort there.
Yeah, he's got a half century in that last test. You thought maybe that'll help, but it's a pattern we see with Rahane. Well, he gets runs and then suddenly just goes missing next innings too. He's a player who's vice captain. He's got nearly 80 tests of experience. Would you be talking to a player like that? Would you expect more out of him?
I think you would expect more out of him. Again, when you're in the top 5 for India, I mean, there's a lot of competition for places. So, yeah, you need to, don't you? I think, and he's a class player. It will come. I completely agree with Mani, what Mani said there as well. I only see Ishant Sharma missing out, and I bring Ashwin in. I think England have got a number of left-handers. He's a world-class bowler. And like I said, the next 2 pitches, I think, will be pretty flat. So playing spin will be just as important as seamers. So, and also that lengthens the batting. Having Ashwin probably at 8 will definitely lengthen the batting as well. I see that as the change for India. And they must remember, I think the one nice thing from an India point of view, and we've talked about it already, is how they've been a resilient group for a long time. They've managed to win in India, having already been bowled out for 38. So I don't think this will dent the confidence. And they're going to need people like Rahane, who did bounce back in Melbourne, to step up in the next couple of games. So the experience I think will be really important for the Indian side. And it's not to panic for them right now.
The fact remains, though, that India have lost this test because they were bowled out for 78 in the first innings. They've had another collapse, yes, in this one. So the changes you all seem to be suggesting don't address that department. What does address that department then, Belly? Is it as simple as better pitches will come? So maybe we don't need to change personnel, but just approach. But England are going to be relentless with this sort of line of attack. India still have a problem with their batting, Ian Bell, don't they?
They do. Again, you have to score runs. I think, as I said, like when you get the overhead conditions, especially in Headingley and at Trent Bridge, and even Lords to an extent, that can really test your technique in these conditions. As I said, I think for the Oval and Old Trafford, I don't feel it necessarily works that way. Like I said, they seem to be the best pitches. Certainly, in my opinion, they were the best pitches that I played on. And I think, again, experience will play. We're in a brilliant 5-match series now. The ebb and flow of it has been brilliant. And England have bounced back. We've gone into this test match now thinking India are dominating. England are gone. And I think they've digged deep. They've shown resilience to bounce back in an amazing way, which is fantastic. And now India have got to do the same. And that's why we love 5 test matches in a series and 2 good teams going at each other, which is brilliant. So for me, I think for both, like England did, they didn't panic. And I think exactly the same for India. It's not to panic, but you're right. At the end of the day, the top 5, they're going to have to not just get hundreds, but big hundreds. That's the difference. Joe Root, when he's got in, has gone big, which, again, I think that's where India are just lacking right now.
The worry, of course, Mani, is, and this is the reason no teams won more than a test other than the one you were part of in 86. We saw it in 2014. India win at Lords. Suddenly they lose the next 3. Series goes pear-shaped. This kind of defeat after the high of Lords, India's batting is likely to stay the same. What would you expect, the team management to be telling these guys to try and turn things around?
I think there's going to be a lot of talk, because Ravi Shastri, as I keep mentioning him, he's a good motivator. He's motivated this Indian team pretty well, and that is why probably, if you see their records since he's become the coach, has been pretty good. So I would be expecting Ravi Shastri to be a little overactive. Not think that these boys are played, like you were talking about Ajinkya Rahane, that he's played 80 odd test matches. He can't think that he's played 80 test matches. He knows his job. He knows what to do. Sometimes, even great players need to get motivated. You need to sit with them, maybe take him out for a dinner or something, and keep telling him that he's done it before, he can do it again, and he's just got to be in a positive frame of mind. So that is one department where I think Ravi Shastri, the coach, or maybe all the coaches will have to be proactive. Whoever are involved with the Indian team at the minute. We all know that this Indian team can come back strongly. I'm very glad that the English team came back, this strongly, and I was expecting it. I said it before the Test match. I expect them to come back strong because they're playing in their home conditions. They did, and now I would like to see the Indian team coming back strongly in the next Test match because we would love to see a good contest.
Yeah, and now let's spend some time on this English team. What an effort this is for all the talk after Lords. Like there couldn't be another bright day for England cricket in the red ball scheme of things. Hamid gets runs, Burns gets runs, Belly. David Malan on his comeback gets runs, and you see the bowlers doing the job that they did. Positives to take into the next one.
Very positive. It looked a nice balance, didn't it? I thought certainly the top three played very well. I think for England, it's not about getting carried away, and I'm sure Joe Root will be the same. It's not about all of a sudden we're the best team in the world now. We still know there's areas to improve. I think at the end of the day, I think the credit has to go to Jimmy Anderson and the bowlers. For bowling India out for 78, that meant that this England batting lineup had no scoreboard pressure at all, and everything. And even then, Virat Kohli couldn't keep slips for that long. He had to protect runs. So look, I think as a batsman, it was the perfect time to bat and score runs. But at the end of the day, you still got to get out there and do that. And I think they did that well. There were some nice positive signs. I thought the tempo of Hamid was good. We've seen in the past England have been a bit tentative and probably looked to survive. I thought he put anything slightly short and wide, he put away with his cut shots and then played particularly well. Burns played well again. And Milan again, back into the team, looks a test match player. It's just now producing the goods and delivering a bit more often. So look, yeah, there's some real positives, an amazing performance. More, as Manny said, the character of losing a test match and bouncing back was the most pleasing thing. And now they've got to find that again, not ease off take the foot off the gas at all and nearly go again and start the Oval exactly like they've started this test match. But as an England fan, and I'm sure everyone's just chuffed to bits again, the character and the attitude was huge for this test match.
If there are, though, areas to improve upon, there's only a few you can think of in this, but Josh Butler still seems to look like a struggle with the bat. Belly, excellent game with the gloves, though plenty of that is owed to the bowlers who kept nicking and giving him plenty of opportunities to catch it with. Would you be looking at that position of Josh Butler? I know Ben Foakes is not fully fit just yet, but there is Bairstow on the team. Could they perhaps make better use of that? Or does a winning team stay the same going into the Oval Test for you?
Not just yet. I think Josh, yes, performance, but I think he's an important part in the dressing room to this group. I think he's a calming influence. He's a senior player, so I don't see that. And we were quite critical actually of England changing after winning in Chennai the first Test match. So yeah, when you win a Test match, you go again. You take the momentum with you, and you don't make too many changes. I think as the pitch got a little bit flatter yesterday with the older ball, there's part that maybe Sam Curran for Saqib Mahmood just to give another point of difference. As I said, the next two pitches will be a little bit flatter than maybe this pitch. So there's maybe an option. But again, I think England exploited the conditions incredibly well. And it would be tough to make changes. I think for me, again, it's just the matter. You've got Joe Root in a purple patch playing as well as he can play. What we really want from the rest of the batters isn't just to get those starts, the 50s, is to convert some hundreds, because at some point Joe won't get that 100. So the 50s won't be enough again. So we need just the batting unit to again start turning those starts into scores, and I think then that's what foundation of Test match cricket is built on: scoring big first innings runs, giving your bowlers opportunity to win games of cricket. So the little areas which I'm sure again they will be looking to improve. It's not the finished article of a side by any means, but an amazing performance this week.
And just to reiterate, Mani, you just like to see that one change of perhaps Ashwin for an Ishant Sharma. Belly points out the Oval could be a flat surface, but no changes in the batting just yet.
I don't see any changes coming in the batting as far as the batting lineup is concerned. The only change that they can do is, with the batting is change the mentality, change how you think. You've got to be a little more positive, like we saw yesterday. We were talking about Pujara. He was a little positive, and he looked a different batsman altogether. People here think that he's close to Rahul Dravid, which I don't think so, but he's still good enough for international cricket, and he's done it before. So I think it's just the mentality that needs to be changed. Otherwise, I don't see any other changes as far as the batting lineup is concerned.
All right. Well, it sets us up for a wonderful series then. It was all England here, with the exception of perhaps one day, and even then a day where England was still significantly ahead. This has been a remarkable turnaround by Joe Root and Co. Ian Bell, thank you very much. Maninder Singh, absolute pleasure. More from you on ESPN Cricket for Match Day as we continue this enthralling Test match series ahead of the fourth Test then on the 2nd of September at the Oval. Join us for a preview show at 3 o'clock just after the toss. And let's see if India can bounce back the way England did after their defeat at Lord's. See you next week. Bye-bye.